Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report right here on LCN TV. Before we get to Super Bowl 44, by the way, I want to make sure everybody knows we are going to have all kinds of things happening on this show. Final segment every week, we're going to have a pick segment where we're going to pick games against the spread. And you'll also have a chance to go to our website, bgreport.com, and pick winners of the games. And every week, we're going to go ahead and give away a nice prize. This week, courtesy of Chuck's Field of Dreams in Albany and Hammond, an 8x10 autographed Jari Evans picture from the Saints. And we're going to have a lot of autograph stuff to give away, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure that you go online, bgreport.com, and pick the winners with us. And hopefully, you're going to win something really good from the Black and Gold Report. Let's get to Super Bowl 44. What a magical year last year, of course, starting off 13-0 and having a chance to go undefeated. Talk about that first, your feelings about whether or not you thought we really were going for 16-0 or whether they were just worried about the playoffs.
Well, yeah, you got to remember, Saints fans like us have gone through a lot, in 40-something years. I went to Atlanta, my kids were very, very young, and our whole plan was how to watch the Saints game on Sundays before DirecTV, before the NFL ticket. So we would find a sports bar or whatever we could, but the Saints fans are a very small minority. So in sports bars, it's dominated by who wants to watch which game. So usually the Saints were on one little TV way up in the corner. And I can remember Debbie and I there, my kids are standing up in the booth watching, but we were in there, all the Falcons all around us watching those Saints. Then we go to Arizona, DirecTV, NFL tickets, so we could stay home and watch the game. So my kids and my wife were avid Saints fans. So we've been, like Kurt said, we got the season tickets, but fortunately we got the season tickets. They go to Chicago the first year, losing the NFC Championship. We went up there and froze. Come back this year and they start 13-0. Did I think they could go 16-0? Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. When they played Dallas, that was the first team that really gave us a lot of trouble, but I think when DeMarcus Ware was not supposed to play, we weren't really ready. Dallas had to win the game a lot more than we did. But after that, we lost 3 in a row. I never had a concern about losing 3 in a row, even though no team had ever done it and going to the Super Bowl. I didn't have a concern about that. The Cardinals roll in, if you remember. We really popped the Cardinals pretty easily. That game. Reggie had a great game, Reggie Bush. But the Viking game, and I think Kirk can attest that I've never, excluding the Atlanta Katrina game when they came back and reopened the Dome, that game was the most magical Saints game. Well, I'll take that back. I've been the LSU National Champ. It's the most magical sporting event I've ever been to. When that field goal went, when it was good, the whole stadium went crazy. You were hugging and kissing. It was just unbelievable. And for hours after the game, it spilled out on the streets near the quarter. That euphoria just never left. It never left. It was an incredible game.
And Kurt, in that game, it was such a roller coaster because the Vikings moved the football all over the field. The turnovers is what killed them. But so Saints fans are sitting there, you're feeling good, you have the lead, and here comes Minnesota down the field, whatever, all of a sudden you're cringing, and that turnover, okay, we're going back this way, same thing again, turnover. It was a game that, as a fan, you had the euphoria of being an NFC Championship game, but it's also one of the most exciting games and nerve-wracking games I've ever played.
Yeah, it was a killer, and I agree that as much as I hated the fact that they lost to Dallas, that's not one of my favorite teams by no means, but I had no problem with this. I firmly believe that you should rest the starters. I just think history has proven once you secure home field, I know that was a big argument back then, who to play, who not to play. If anybody doesn't think Drew Brees has to be healthy for the Saints to win the Super Bowl, just remember that playoff run. So not even playing a quarter, that didn't bother me at all. I really felt like that was the way to go. And it paid off down the line. That Arizona game was unbelievable. It was over early. Other than the first play, it was definitely all Saints after that. And once you get to that championship game, you got to beat a home team. I just think it's important. If that game's at Minnesota, just like the game was at Chicago, the Saints may have, Favre may not throw that pick at the end. Home field advantage in New Orleans is definitely, I haven't been to a lot of road stadiums, but I firmly believe the guys that play in the league a lot, I think it's a special place, and that game proved it. Just like Richard, when that field goal went through, the whole state, and even in Miami, there are people that were at the Super Bowl that I've talked to that kind of wish they were back in New Orleans. They were glad to see him win, but how many people you've run into said, man, you know what? I'd have liked to have been in New Orleans now that they realized the Saints had won the thing.
And as fans,
What other
each one of
city?
us
Yeah.
has a story about where we were
Oh, that's it.
for that
It's
game.
it.
I was
It's
at some friend's house with my wife and Allie, and where I'd watched football all year with the Saints, and so
That's
I didn't
it.
want to jinx that. That's where we were.
Oh, you
E-
go through
every-
that whole
Yeah,
process.
everybody had a favorite moment as far as where you were in the Super Bowl. Everybody has a memory now. I mean, I was at a friend's house that I watched football at all year long. Brought Judy and Allie. I went to the same place. It was like I didn't want to jinx anything, so I went back to that same place. And everybody has a moment like that.
Yeah, we were at my daughter's Casey's house. He was around 2 at the time, so we got to watch it with a grandson, which is unfortunately a little longer than I wanted to see a Super. I was hoping the Saints would get to a Super Bowl before then. But like everybody else, I was starting to wonder if I would see the Saints win a Super Bowl. And our dads have talked about it. I thought I'll never live long enough to see the Saints win the Super Bowl. Heck, I was starting to worry. But yeah, it was really neat. It was special. And the biggest thing what makes the Saints different is the fact that you've actually met people. I've met people that were at Miami, went to the game, and kind of wish they were in New Orleans when the Saints won, after they saw what went on after that victory. How many NFL cities where you hear that said?
Exactly. Now, this past week, the Saints beat the Vikings 14-9, the opening game, Thursday night to open the NFL season. Everybody expected a shootout, Richard. We got a 14-9 game where the Saints win it with defense.
I did. I expected a shootout myself, and the game started with a turnover because the unveiling of the banner ceremony, it looked Mardi Gras flow to Southern Band march out. It was a little poorly choreographed. However, TV controls everything. We got about
That's
10
obvious.
minutes of Dave Matthews inside the dome. Fans were getting a little restless, and it just wasn't well cool. But it was their first time. So next time when they win another trophy and another
Right.
trophy,
That's it.
they'll have all that figured out. So that was the first turnover of the game as a fan. But when that big black thing got unfurled, the big banner, nothing could have been more exciting. And then Drew led everybody in the big Who Dat cheer in unison, and we had a ball. Game comes out, Saints, it's like we had never left. I mean, they come right down the field, throwing the pass. 5 plays, 77 yards, touchdown. Party start. Let's start the party. They hit our favorite song, Let's Get Crunk, on
That's
the
it.
kickoff. Everybody's going nuts. And then really nothing happened for the rest of the half. The Vikings drove down at the end of the second half, into the first half, I should say, took the lead. Second half kickoff, we come out again, go all the way down the field, score again. Drew threw the ball, he ran the ball, I think, once in the first half, all throwing. We start off in a 3-4 defense, dropping 8 guys. Then in the second half, we blitz in Brett Favre with 5. Drew and the Saints go to a running game. I'm still very confident that we beat a lot of teams in the film room. Our coaches are better than their coaches.
Absolutely.
Saints win the game based on a brutal defense, and we kept the ball for 5 minutes at the end of the game just running the ball, right down to best front 7 in the NFC. Was I excited? It wasn't as exciting as an offensive show, but when you left the dome, you had a pretty good feeling that Saints could win games that way also.
And as much as you know that Drew Brees is the guy on the Saints offense, running the football last year, they ended up, I think, 6th in the NFL. In the second half of that game, the 2 guards, Jari Evans and Carl Nicks, dominated the 2 Williams, the 2 Pro Bowl tackles for Minnesota, to allow Pierre Thomas to run the football and control the clock.
And on paper, that's not supposed to happen, And not only are we winning games in the film room, something else that I never thought we'd see is our coaches out-coaching teams at halftime. I think we beat a lot of teams at halftime, which is something, including more when we were winning, that I felt would hurt us. I felt at halftime we got out-coached over the years. This crew here, when they go in at halftime, it's amazing what they can do in the second half, which not many teams and many staffs can say that. It's one of a select group in the same echelon as New England and all other geniuses in the NFL. I'll put our crew up with any of them.
Right.
The biggest thing that I got out of that game is that good teams find different ways to win ball games.
Exactly.
We did not roll up 40 points and 450 yards. We still won the game 14-9. That's all that matters.
But if you had any concern coming into this year, it certainly wasn't the offense. It
No.
was all about the defense. And they've added some personnel, made a few changes. We've gotten Jabari Greer and
Tracy Porter
Tracy
both
Porter
healthy.
back healthy.
Yeah.
And even without Darren Sharper, I thought Malcolm Jenkins covered for him well. But if that defense can play near that level for the rest of the season, I'm not saying we're going back to the Super Bowl. As much as I want to go to Dallas, I'd love to go to Jerry Dome and play in it. It's going to be a good year for Saints fans. I'm pretty excited, as you can tell.
It's going to be a good year. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about the rest of Week 1 in the NFL. And don't forget, you have an opportunity to win some prizes by going to bgreport.com and pick the winners of this week's games. We'll be right back with more of the Black and Gold Report right here on LCN.